You're listening to the Just Jenna podcast, where we discuss all things mindset, real estate, social media strategy, and how to live life to its fullest. I'm a mom and seven-figure business owner who teaches other entrepreneurs how to leverage social media to increase their bottom line. Let's get started. Eek! How long has it been, guys? Months, weeks, years since I've done an episode? I don't even know. That's because it's been crazy. We are finishing up building our dream home. We are purchasing real estate in other locations. We've got multiple things in the air, and it's been all good. I've been over on the IG. If you don't follow me at Jenna Peterson on Instagram, my Instagram handle recently changed. I actually purchased it from someone, which is really exciting because I wanted it to be my first and last name. And if you're not following me on there, go give me a follow. I'm on there every single day. You can send me a DM. I'll respond to it. Personally, it's not someone else. It's me. And I'm just excited to randomly pop on here. I have no agenda for this call today. But what I was doing right before, I was driving home and I'm like, man, I think that there are people that listen to my podcast who are ready for another episode. And when we move into our new house, we have all the fancy setup. We've got the microphones. I have multiple microphones. We've got like a sound room. Like it's going to be legit with how the setup will look like. So hopefully that will inspire me to record more. We even bought a really fancy camera a few days ago that I'll be using for the podcast. So it'll look just Jenna 2.0, right? Anyway, I'm going to stream this on YouTube as well. If you want to tune in over there, you can see the video version of me talking. Otherwise, for my podcast friends, let's just dive into it. Let's catch up. What's been going on? What's new? What's changed? Well, we have gotten several students, some incredible results since we last talked. For those of you who don't know what I do, I am a coach for social media, for business. So some people will come to me and really need help refining their systems on social media. And they don't have a lot of traction. They feel really lost, and they maybe have an offer, but it's not selling, or they don't even have an offer and they really want to start selling. And what we typically will do is try to break everything down, peel back the layers, and figure out what is it that they want to monetize. So some of my students are real estate agents, and they know very clearly what their offer is going to look like. They want to teach other real estate agents how to do X, Y, and Z. And then I have a whole other host of clients who have no idea. They maybe they're in construction, or maybe they're in accounting. I have an accountant right now who's crushing it on LinkedIn, which is so cool to see. She's using the strategies inside one of my courses for growing her clientele and reach on LinkedIn. And it's been really cool to see the results that came through that. But CPAs, fitness instructors, teachers, we have so many different types of people that we're helping right now. Recently had a nurse who came through our program and went from 43 followers to 29,000 followers in just a couple months, and has niched down that following. It's so cool. It's so cool. Her following has become a whole host of nurses that ultimately want to learn what she's teaching, and her digital products are selling. Her email list has like over 8,000 email addresses. So we've been seeing some really cool results through our programs, and it's just been really exciting because this has been work that's just been continuing to stack over a period of time, and ultimately what I love doing. We simplified some of our offers in the process. I was doing a lot of offers specifically for realtors last year, which was awesome, and I still am helping a lot of real estate agents because that is my background, but we welcomed in more industries this year. And I think that was a really good move. It was organic. One of the things that I always say to my students is like, do what feels authentic, do what feels organic. And I was ready to help other industry types because I knew that I could do it. And it really wasn't that different. So we're having really good success with that. We've got a couple of clients who are clearing like the multiple 6-figure mark now with their businesses and on their way to 7 figures. So we are on track this year to do over 2 million, which is really exciting. We are still in that phase where when you start a new business, it's hard you don't have patterns, right? You're still learning those patterns and the seasons that are busier and the seasons that are slower. So I'm sure you can understand where, we're still trying to figure out a lot of the moving parts, but for the most part, we've gotten some predictability with some of the offers that we recently put out around having recurring revenue, which has been awesome because if for those of you who don't know the whole game around recurring revenue, it's just such a huge relief when you know that like, okay, I'm going to work on retaining my current clients and serving them in the best way that I know how versus constantly feeling like I have to go and find new ones. And for the longest time, that's what I did. And I still do that. I'm still bringing on new clients all the time, but I now have an offer where I'm able to serve continuously the same group of people and level up together. And some of those people will be with me for years and years to come. Some may last some may stay for just a few months and others may join for years. And I'm just excited to have a place for them if they would like to stay and continue to grow together. So that was one of the newest things that we added. It's called the Inner Circle. And it's been a huge, huge just success. I think we launched it on a Friday night at like 8 p.m. and we had like 35 people sign up in a couple of days. Really crazy. So we are currently on a wait list for that. We are not letting anyone into that program at the moment. That will change when spots open up. So you can always follow along on my Instagram page when I do open spots up for that. And last thing I'll say about offers, we have Launch Academy right now that we are working towards filling up. And that's for people who want to create, build, and scale a course online. And most of those people have not created courses yet that are joining. A couple people are revamping their courses and relaunching and trying to figure out what they did wrong. So message me at Launch Academy and I can send you details on that. All right, let's get into the fun stuff. So I get questions all the time on my DMs, and I try to leverage what people ask me on my DMs for what I'm going to talk about on my podcast around how to get started in general. Like just the phrase, how to get started. That is something that I swear I must get 10 times a day from people. And while I think it depends where you're starting from, right? We all have like different points in our lives where we're starting. I think the ultimate goal that I'm hearing from more and more men and women is they just want freedom. They just want to be able to have they're not afraid to put in the work. They're not afraid to spend a little bit of money, but they really want to know that what they're investing in is going to work and they can't necessarily see how it's going to work for them. So for all of my coaches on here and anyone who's listening to the podcast who is in a position where they're offering something to someone, I think it's really important to break it down so that people feel like they can see themselves in that position. We so often will sell and be taught to like sell the solution, which is exactly what I do, and not get too bogged down into the weeds of like the day-to-day nitty-gritty. But I do think that it's important to spend time in your marketing going back to the basics and creating this top of funnel content a lot of times that is just like, hey, look, let's help you make your first $100. Let's help you make your first 1,000, right? Something that feels really tangible and in reach. And then we can go from there. And there's so much to be said about the type of marketing where people feel that they can see themselves, right? They can see themselves getting there. And if it feels so out of reach and if it feels so unrelatable, then a lot of times your message gets ignored. So anyway, I think how to get started can look different for so many people. So I would say for someone who's listening to this right now and is like, okay, I am in my 9-to-5, or I'm a full-time agent, or I'm a full-time, mom, and I just don't even understand how you get the time to start. I would say that you have to start with a really, really small practical goal. So when I first got started in the online space, I didn't sit there and have unrealistic expectations. My expectation was $25,000 in the first year. I don't know a single person that I'm even coaching who has a goal like that now. And I don't say that in a bad way, but I just say that in the sense of we have gotten so entitled with what our goals are and where we should be and where we need to be, right? These should and need words have got to get out of your vocabulary. Why? Because ultimately, you have to start somewhere. And there are some people who have more relationship equity built up on their social media platforms or in their day-to-day lives or on their email addresses, where when they launch something or they come out with a product or a program, they are going to see more success. They're going to see faster results. So we cannot compare ourselves to someone else doing, something better than you or faster than you. I think the only person that you should be competing with is yourself. And when you do that, first of all, it's way more fun. And when business is fun, you actually want to show up and do it. This is a side note, but I just listened to someone share this and I thought this is the most practical, thing I could teach someone is come up with 3 words that describe you. And when you come up with those 3 words, use that as the decision-making process for everything you're doing. Like if you're thinking about promoting an offer, if you're thinking about going somewhere, buying a house somewhere, moving, hanging out with a friend, do they fall into those 3 words? My 3 words were fun, simple, and laid back. And if it's not laid back or casual, fun and simple, I'm not doing it. And I think it's just such a fun way to live life. Does it fall into who you are and what you stand by and what you believe? No, then don't do it. Right. So anyway, going back to getting started and these realistic expectations. Expectations are everything. So set them with I'm not saying to have low expectations, but what I'm saying is to have realistic, you're not going to come out and make $100,000 in your first month on your course. There are people that do that, but it is extremely rare. And the reason that they do that is because they put in the work previously, building up a community of people that were ready to buy. And if you are asking yourself, well, how do I do that? How do I come up with a community of people that are ready to buy? I want that. We all do, right? I think that's something that can absolutely happen, but there's one element that you're missing in this. It takes time. So money is one aspect, right? You can pay for views, you can pay for eyes, but what you can't speed up is time. And I always say you're, 1 piece of content away or 10 pieces of content away from someone purchasing from you. Why? Because they just need to consume more of your content. So in order for you to have more raving fans, to have more people purchasing your products and signing up for your programs, they need to be able to spend more time with you. So for me, I am posting every single day on social media and I am on my stories daily and I am in my feed and I am in my DMs responding to people. And so they feel like they know me and they feel like they can trust me, right? And they get to know my style and my vibe and my energy because I'm physically there and I'm showing up. But if you're showing up once a week, it's going to take a lot longer because those people have a longer amount of time that they need to spend with you before they're going to make a purchase. So you're 1 piece of content away. Maybe you're actually 20 pieces of content away. I don't really know. It could be different for all of us listening, but ultimately you've got to create more content. And one of the other things that I would say is have different types. So if you're just focusing on stories or just doing reels or just doing live videos, try adding in other types of content. Because one of the things that I've learned is that I have some students who will watch me from, a live video that I did with someone else, and they'll watch the whole live, but then they'll go and consume my reels. And then maybe they'll listen to my stories. And then maybe they'll watch some of my highlights. And through each of those different actions, they come to the conclusion of, oh, I want to work with her. But if I didn't have any longer format of content and I just had short form, they might think, well, okay, she sounds cool, but I don't know if I really know her, right? I don't really know if this is enough for me to invest $5,000 in a program or $10,000, right? So in order to really start to see that conversion happen through your social media platforms, you, in my opinion, have to have longer formats of content, but also that consistency factor so that you're staying top of mind. If you show up once every week on your social media and you're promoting your offer or your course or whatever it is that you're doing, or you're selling houses, right? Your services, whatever you do, and there's someone else who's showing up 5 or 6 times a week, that other person is going to most likely beat you out just because they're top of mind for the ideal client. The ideal customer is watching someone else, seeing them more frequently in their feed, even though you may be more qualified. You may have a better, process. You may have better marketing spend or whatever it is. If that person is top of mind, they're most likely going to beat you. So I always encourage my students to come up with realistic marketing plans. I mean, you're not going to realistically post 3-5 times a day on your feed consistently every day for the next 3 years, right? That's a lot to ask of someone. But I always say when you do commit to a schedule, when you do decide what that schedule is, commit to it. So if it is 5 reels a week, stick to 5 reels a week for 60, 90 days, and then let's reevaluate. But if we don't have content to look back on, how do we know what to improve and where to grow and where to go from here? For example, one of my students recently, she is an amazing nurse and had a page that was dedicated to helping other nurses find ways to work from home and find remote nursing positions. And her name is Christy. And she was posting content. It was great. She had some educational pieces of content that she was sharing. And I think she got up to like 250 followers or something like that. And we had one of our one-on-one calls. And she's inside Launch Academy and now the Inner Circle. And I said, okay, I think I know your problem in your content. I said, you're missing credibility. And I know that you're amazing at what you do, but they don't. And so what I meant by that was you have this wonderful platform of information that you're giving people, but they don't know what you have accomplished because you haven't told them. Now, sometimes people view this as bragging on social media, and I really don't see it that way, because if you're truly trying to help someone and you want to help someone get from point A to point B, the person at point A kind of needs to know that you've made it across the bridge, right? That you're on the other side. If they don't know, then they're not going to hire you, right? If I never told you that I have made multiple seven figures in my business, then I don't know, how are you supposed to know that? Right? Maybe you can figure it out through different clues and things like that. But what I'm getting at is we do need to make it clear to our audience that what we are credible for. If we have, helped our homeowners save hundreds of thousands of dollars through negotiations and X, Y, and Z process that you have that you're trying to package up and sell to other people, you kind of need to let your audience know that that's something you've done, right? We don't know what we don't know. And so my job is to find those inconsistencies in our marketing and how we can optimize our profiles to make sure that people are viewing us in that way. Now, there's so much more to it than just authority content, because you could post all day that you're a millionaire and you have all these amazing things that you've accomplished. But if no one has a way to enter into your world, or they don't have an offer that is inviting them into the next step, or that feels like it's meeting them where they're at, they're probably not going to do anything with the information that they know about you, right? So there's so many more pieces and elements to the authority type of content that I encourage people to share, but she had those other elements. She had an offer that was helping people. She had really great educational content and value to give to people, but they just didn't know that she was truly amazing and had already gone where they want to go. She had made over $320,000 the previous year through remote nursing, and knew that it was proven and knew that it would work, and had helped other students already get and land jobs like this, but she wasn't using that in her content. And so when we made that shift, that video went viral. Over 2.5 million people watched it, where she shared the income that she had made from the previous year doing remote nursing and how you could get started. And then from there, she continued with follow-up videos that really supported what she was on there for, how she wanted to help people. And I think that's ultimately what people want at the end of the day. There's so much noise on social media. There's so many offers and people that feel like they're doing the same thing. When you can break it down to like, what is in it for that person? How can I help that one person? Think of one person in your mind. Who can I help? Like one person that's watching my stories right now, who is one person that I can help, call them out and like think about them and create that message around that one person and actually like move the needle forward in their life. And how can I transform that one person situation right now? They are, let's say they're frustrated with their hormones being out of balance. I know that they want to balance them. How can I create a piece of content that's going to help give me positioning as the authority figure, but also show them that like I have the answer for what they need to do next to give them the next step? That's what they're looking for. They want the next step. Right? People want to know, how are you going to help me get to the next step? Because ultimately, this is my goal over here. Right now, I'm over here. Are you the person that's going to take me from here to here? And if you're that person and that they can understand and they can see the path that you're going to be the one to help them go from over here, to A to B, to A to Z, whatever you want to say, then they're going to hire you. You are going to become the obvious choice, that they're going to hire you to be their real estate agent. They're going to hire you to be their coach, or they're going to hire you to be their fitness instructor. Whatever it is that you are selling, they are going to hire you every single time. Once they can make that connection that I see she or he has the transformation path. They have aligned it with me and I can clearly see it labeled. And that is something that I want to be a part of, right? So I think there is so much more that I can talk about this. And how about, since I like to keep these episodes short, why don't you shoot me a DM if you did listen to this episode and say, Jenna, I want you to talk more about whatever you want. You can message me, give me feedback on what kind of episodes you want to see more of. If you haven't left a review on the podcast, I would love it if you left a review and dropped a review today. I'll go through all of the recent reviews. I've been sending out Stanley Cups randomly to people who review. So I'll pick another winner for a Stanley Cup and I'll send one your way. I'll pick the winner, announce it next time I'm on the podcast, and you'll just DM me your address and I'll get that over to you. You guys, as always, thank you for listening. Thank you for being on here. Thank you for just listening to my thoughts. And let's just keep making this show better and better and more impactful for you and what you guys want to hear more about. Because ultimately my job is to what? To move the needle forward and help you increase your bottom line, make more money, live your life, and have just ultimately more freedom to do more of what you love. So thanks for being on, and I'll talk to you guys soon.